While tonight's speaker probably needs no introduction, he's going to get one. Bert Copeland, the master Toastmaster that he is presenting this evening his 6th Pathways Icebreaker. He's going to be discussing some of his educational adventures. Mr. Timer, he'll need 4 to 6 minutes for this task. Would you help me welcome Bert Copeland?
Thanks, John. Have you ever had something happen in your life and you didn't know why or why it was happening? When I was young, I used to watch a show called Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges. It was all about scuba diving. And I got so excited about it, I learned to scuba dive. And my first dive was in Cannes, France. And that's back when we had the old double hose regulators and there was no buoyancy control devices. And we just had these fins, which were about this big. And then I kept diving and diving. And then for a while, I stopped for a little bit. And I changed careers. And while I was in Texas, I was in a car wreck where I was rear-ended and it laid me up for 11 months. And the only time I could find any sort of relief from my pain was scuba diving. So I went from being just a recreational diver, I became an advanced diver. And then I became a rescue diver. And then I became an assistant instructor. And then I became an instructor. And then I learned 9 specialties and taught. And at each step, I was focused, I had energy, I had joy, and I was glad to accomplish the task. Everything is wonderful, life is great. Second career actually started 10 years before I became a scuba instructor. When I was living in Michigan, I was a nurse's aide. And at the time, I thought a career in healthcare might be a way to go. Life being what it is, getting jumbled around and moved around. It took 10 years before I started realizing the goal. And the only reason I realized the goal was because the accident I was in that made me a scuba instructor happened to put me on a boat outside of North Carolina where a diving accident happened. And it was a diving accident that happened for the stupidest reason you could imagine. Because like speeches where you have basics, in scuba diving, there are basics. The first basic is breathe continuously, never hold your breath. And the second basic is if you're going to go up, you look up, you reach up, and you swim up. Well, this gentleman didn't do the last 2, and he swam into a Portuguese man of war that was about this big. And if you know anything about those Portuguese men of war, he went into anaphylactic shock. We were 12 miles out at the time, and they actually got his body off our boat because they flew his body up from Duke. They flew him back there. A simple thing. How does that tie into any of this? At the time, I was there with my wife, who was a nurse, and another person that was an EMT, and they were working on this gentleman. Well, I knew first aid and CPR. I'd been teaching that for a number of years, so I helped them. The first rule I thought of was, from now on, everything you teach is important, and make it important. So I changed my scuba instruction. The second thing I did was, I decided to become an emergency medical technician. And I did that. A lot of study, a lot of jumping off the back of ambulances. And it didn't take me long to figure out that this was no way to live, working 24 hours straight and 48 hours off. And because I interacted a lot with nurses, I started doing the prerequisites for my nursing. So I got my associates in nursing, and then I worked and I got my bachelor's in nursing. I got a bunch of other things in nursing, like advanced cardiac life support, and a lot of other things. The thing that I learned from both careers, when you have a specific goal that you want, and you really want that goal, you will do just about anything to learn it. Another thing is that I learned to accept the curriculum of the person that was teaching me, because I assumed that they probably knew better how to do this than I did. And the third thing I learned from both of those careers was you never stop learning. I'd like to share this phrase with you that I saw someplace. And it really grabbed me because it says, your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because they did not make you happy. On this basis alone, its value should be questioned. If learning aims to change, and that is always its purpose, are you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Dissatisfaction with learning outcomes is a sign of learning failure, since it means that you did not get what you wanted. So my question to you, fellow Toastmasters, is, are you receiving the benefit from your training in Toastmasters that you want? Mr. Toastmaster.